Hi, I'm Dave D, Chief Marketing Officer at GKIC, and welcome to another episode of Renegade Millionaire TV. Well, welcome to this episode of Renegade Millionaire TV. My very, very special guest is Mr. Dan Kennedy. You all know Dan. He's the author of dozens of books, courses, does seminars, and has helped literally thousands and thousands of business owners from every corner of the planet improve their business and improve their lives. Dan, welcome to the program.
Good to be here.
Well, as people can see, we're standing in front of some really cool cars here. So first, I'd like to explain to you about the cars. Explain to us about the cars and what significance they have to you.
Well, you got three kids. So
3 kids.
3 kids.
Okay.
So that's a 1972 American Motors, which some people now have to go Google American Motors. So that's a 1972 AMC Javelin AMX. It has a Pierre Cardin designed kind of go-go disco era, interior.
Now, do you only wear Pierre when you?
No.
Okay.
No.
Because when we get to the next car, you'll understand.
And by the way, I bought 3 Nehru jackets the day they went out of style. The ceiling is the same as the seats, by the way. There were about 800 of these, 860 I think made. There's probably only 25 in existence because it was a terrible automobile. The significance is that's the first, not that car, but in 1973, the first new car I bought with my own money was a 1973 Javelin showing poor judgment at the time. So there's an emotional connection.
Got it.
I'm sort of the elephant who is returned home to die, sort of thing. The
elephant who has returned home to die.
Interestingly, the new Javelin at the dealership, the day I bought it, was $3,995 out of the showroom.
Wow.
This was $39,950 with God knows how many miles on it.
Wow.
The car to your other side is the least special of anything. That's a 1965 Lincoln Continental Town Car convertible. And it has suicide doors. They open like so,
right.
Not like so.
Right.
They only made them for a few years that way for the very reason they are called suicide doors. Although the brand new Rolls-Royce, the $250,000 Rolls, has suicide doors
wow.
on it. The back seats fold down, by the way, forward. The top is hydraulics, not electronics. There's big pumps in the trunk.
Right.
And it's the car you see at the opening of Entourage.
Cool.
The 64 two-door suicide door car, just like this, is the first car I owned, which I think I bought for $200 at the time.
Right.
And that is a 1986 Rolls-Royce Corniche convertible 2. There were only 4 of those made the year they were made. Mostly celebrities had them. You couldn't walk into a dealership and buy it. You ordered it. I know Lucille Ball had one. This was Dean Martin's, and only Dean's. It had one owner in between Dean and me, but it sat in a museum the entire time. It's only got 20,000 miles on it, so it's like taking a car out of the show.
Unbelievable.
And the significance, I guess, is I grew up with Dean Martin music playing in the home office workplace of my parents. And Dean is just ingrained in my head, and my music taste sort of stopped with Dean and Frank and Sammy. So.
And you only play Dean.
We only play Dean in
only
that car.
Dean in the car.
We play Frank Sinatra in that car.
Okay.
We play like.
Now, do you only play Frank Sinatra in that car?
We only play Frank in that car, or Rat Pack.
Okay.
We play 70s music in this car.
Okay.
And we only play Dean in this car. It would be sacrilegious.
Right. Bad things would happen.
It'd
be bad karma.
It would not be good.
It would not be good at all.
If you wanted to blow the engine up, this piece of Dean Martin trivia, you could play Tony Bennett, because the whole car would just explode.
Got it. Okay, well, these are obviously signs of affluence, owning all of these cars. You own race horses and things like that. So I want to talk to you about wealth attraction.
They create as much affluence for my mechanic
I bet
they
you they
represent
do.
affluence to me.
I bet you they do. So let's talk about wealth attraction here. And one of my favorite books and one favorite events that you ever did was the Wealth Attraction event in the No BS Wealth Attraction book. In that, you talk about how you have to overcome the feeling of guilt about wealth, the feeling that you have to slowly climb up the ladder to get it. Talk about overcoming that feeling, because I think a lot of people have a guilt. They may not admit it.
No. An old friend of mine said that Americans particularly have more hang-ups about money than even about sex. And so there's an enormous amount of negative conditioning that for many people began at what they heard at the top of the stairs, which they may not even consciously remember anymore, but it was ingrained by authoritative figures. There's an enormous amount of media negative conditioning about wealth and affluence. For many people, there's religious conditioning about wealth and affluence, most of which is misinterpreted.
That's correct.
But nonetheless, it's there. There's pure negative pressure about wealth and affluence. And so all that's running in grooves, you know, and it gets in the way. So what most people don't understand about wealth and why the word attraction is so important is that money moves about from person to person, place to place, for its own reasons. And the attempt to like forcibly manipulate that's why the whole redistribution of wealth thing, see, it's never worked, it's never gonna work, because money won't stay put where you put it, that it isn't welcome and it isn't appropriate to be. So we can take all the money away from me if you want to, and you can go give it to somebody who does not have a good psychological, emotional relationship with money, does not earn the money through value exchange, and they won't keep the money very long. The money will leave them and go someplace that it is appropriate for it to be. So all that negative head stuff, what I call wealth inhibition, is essentially like putting up a big no solicitors welcome, beware of dog sign on the front door of your house. It's really the equivalent of that.
Now,
so money comes up, it sees the signs, and it goes, well, crap, I'm not welcome here, and it goes somewhere else.
So you're not known as like a metaphysical guy by any stretch of the imagination, but this sounds kind of a little...
It is, but
it's real.
Well, I'm a believer in pragmatic metaphysics.
Okay, pragmatic metaphysics.
Yeah,
okay.
Which is the right philosophy, the right relationship with money, a smile, and a gun. Okay, that's pragmatic metaphysics. Okay? By gun, I don't mean literally, but I mean a methodology for the creation and exchange of value in a way that attracts money to you. And so the metaphysical purist who believes in pure manifestation,
sit in the corner.
We can go sit over there under that tree, and if we think the proper thoughts, and we are a spiritually good person, these cars will magically appear behind us.
Has that worked for you ever?
No. No. And so there's a lot of that nonsense. There's the passion argument of if you found your true purpose and you are doing what you are really passionate about, money will automatically follow, right? That's all horse manure. I mean, so, again, money moves for its own reasons, and it does not move about because you're doing what you love to do. It does not move for need because you need. That doesn't attract money. If it did, all the poor people would be fine, right? We wouldn't have had to have the failed war on poverty for 3 decades. If money moved because of need, they'd all have all the money they need. So it doesn't move for that reason, and you're not going to make it move for that reason, right? So wealth attraction is really about figuring out why money moves from person to person, place to place, and putting those, what I call wealth magnets, some of which are philosophical, some of which are attitudinal, some of which are very pragmatic, some of which are strategic, some of which are marketing, advertising, sales related, putting those magnets in place so that money is attracted to you.
Could you give us an example of some wealth magnets?
One is, in whatever way works for you, demonstrating affluence, demonstrating success, because success attracts success, right? Another is to understand that, and we talked about it in a different segment to some extent, in that the higher up the income ladder you go, or pyramid is a better way to say it, the higher up the income pyramid you go, the higher up the wealth pyramid you go, and the higher up the ease of attracting money pyramid you go. If you visualize 3 pyramids, what is in common about the top in all three of them is that people are being paid more for who they are than for what they do. Okay? So now that gives us a whole collection of wealth magnets that need to be put in place. That have nothing to do with being a dentist, chiropractor, financial advisor, carpet cleaner, plumber, barber, whatever.
Right. You know, in OBF Wealth Attraction, you talk about, and this ties in directly, be somebody to someone, and then the importance of being somebody to someone, to some group. Explain that in a little bit more detail and why that's so important to wealth attraction.
Well, you do see people, and it's a fairly rare phenomenon still, and it's a fairly modern phenomenon. You do see people who manage to monetize being famous just for the purpose of being famous.
And that's new, right? I mean, that's
it's relatively new. If you think about a Paris Hilton,
right,
or you think about Kardashians,
right,
okay, would be the two examples probably that would leap to people's minds, right? But it's so rare, it's really not a good model because your odds are horrible, right? More people are able to monetize, as you said, being somebody. Now you can put behind that being somebody famous, being somebody significant, being somebody important, being someone expert, being somebody to a particular constituency. So now if you want to think about big names, since we mentioned Kardashians and Hilton, think about Howard Stern and Rush Limbaugh.
Okay.
So for many, many years, Howard Stern and Limbaugh, before Howard went to satellite, were the two biggest money earners in broadcasting of the time and ever, in inflation-adjusted dollars, any way you want to calculate the money, right? They have two completely different constituencies. There's probably almost no crossover between the fan base and the listeners. They are very much for somebody, right? Howard Stern is for the teenager who doesn't want to grow up, right? The frat boy, if you will. Rush is for the hardcore right-wing conservative, somewhat philosophically akin to Attila the Hun, right? And by being a real big somebody to that constituency, they now have all sorts of opportunities to monetize that. So if you bring it down even to a local business, caterer, restaurant, whatever, the smartest thing you can do is pick a constituency, right? To whom you are going to make yourself known, famous for something, significant for something, meaningful and important in their lives.
So for our listeners out there who are struggling right now, because you talk about how you went through bankruptcy and you struggled and all of that kind of stuff, and they're really struggling.
We have 3 cars behind us. I had 2 repoed, so if there's only one more here, then we're taking.
Can you tell the story? so you're catching up. Can you tell the story though about the you were doing a seminar and the repo story about the? This is a classic.
That was a 2-door Lincoln, by the way. That
was it?
Yeah, that was a 1965, I think, Lincoln Continental, and. We had kind of a retail seminar center at the time, so at a strip center, big glass. The whole front of the place is glass, like in a strip center store, right? And everybody's milling around in front, and the seminar room's in the back, and here comes the repo person, fortunately not tow truck, but get in the car and pop it and take it, right? And of course I know the minute, so somebody says, hey, somebody's taking your car. Well, like I know, right? So I go out, very visibly hand her, it was a female repo person, by the way, very visibly knock on the window, and she puts the window down, which probably she shouldn't have, but I very visibly hand her $100 and very loudly say, take very good care of it, and go back in and go to work,
Oh, that's classic.
But the first time you have one taken, you think life is over. The second time, you just think you're a moron and you need to fix the circumstances that are contributing to this.
Well, let's talk about that. So we're talking about wealth attraction here. Let's say one of our viewers is watching it right now, or a number of our viewers are watching this saying, I can't even think about wealth attraction. I'm just trying to get by. And I'm really good at getting by.
Yeah, well so first of all, poor people are poor for reasons just like affluent people are affluent for reasons, right? And most of those reasons are attitudinal, behavioral, strategic, and tactical. They're not the economy. They're not, because more millionaires were created in the Great Depression than any other time ratio to population than at any other time in our nation's history. So it's not the economy, it's not your genetics, it's attitudinal, behavioral, strategic, and tactical. Now, when you get really good at survival instincts and skills, and you are really, really good at getting by, that skill set gets in the way of doing very, very well, because they are different skill sets. And so how you make a six-figure income requires different thinking, different behavior, different strategy, and different tactics than how you make a five-figure income. It's not a matter of just doing more of what you did to make five figures. Okay? It's a different skill set. How you make seven figures is not a matter of doing more of what you were doing to make six. It's a different set of thinking, behavior, strategy, and tactics.
Fantastic, fantastic. Well, thank you so much for joining us on this episode. I really appreciate it.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Well, that's it for this episode of Renegade Millionaire TV. And remember to visit us at www.dankennedy.com. And also remember, at GKIC, we're dedicated to multiplying your income without the BS.